Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this dedication of this memorial plaque on behalf of Lincoln native Loren Eiseley. And I'm delighted to see so many people attending this event, and our distinguished mayor, of course, and so many of our Loren and Tom from the City Council. Duden? Yes. And my vice president here is Tom Lynch, as well as many of the Loren Eiseley board, George Engelman and Tom Bragg and Meredith McGowan way in the back. So thank you all for coming. And this is a particularly auspicious occasion. I think it's wonderful that Eiseley, a Lincoln boy, is now recognized in his hometown. For me, Eiseley pretty much represents what Ray Bradbury, the famous author, said. He said, "Bing, I regard Loren Eiseley as the greatest essayist on nature of the 20th century." And I thought, that's quite a recommendation from someone who is so distinguished. And in my last visit with Ray, he held my hand. He said, "Bing, don't forget, Eiseley's message is timeless. It is important that his word gets out to this next generation of people because we live in perilous times. And his words of wisdom and advice serve as counsel for all of us." We are all gathered here, all from different backgrounds, and you might say we have gathered here from many different paths to congregate at this particular point. And so one of Eiseley's quotes that I will share with you: "We have joined a caravan at a certain point, you might say, and we will see as far as we can. But we cannot in one lifetime see all that we wish to see or learn all that we hunger to know." I think each of us are making that journey, some young, some a little older, but all our paths have converged here at this point in remembrance and in honor of this great American author. One of the things that I love about Lincoln is I frequently walk along the Salt Creek pathway, very tame and not the melodramatic environment that Eiseley encountered. Lincoln serves as the backdrop for much of Eiseley's writings, and Salt Creek was certainly one of them. It ran wild in the last century. Eiseley was born in 1907, and as he would traverse that park with his band of brothers, he looked at the sunflowers growing profusely all along the creek bed. And to a young child, those sunflowers represented a forest. And so that became one of the themes in many of his essays. And I will quote just one small piece and introduce Tom. "Man would not be man if his dreams did not exceed his grasp. If I term humanity a slime-mode organism, it is because his current environment suggests it. If, however, I remember the sunflower forest, it is because from its hidden reaches man first arose. The sunflower forest is his sacred center, and in moments of sanity, he still must seek refuge there." Very wise words, because we live in rather challenging times, as we all know, with the global warming and climate change. And I think Eiseley, his voice of reason and counsel, is needed, especially in these perilous times. So with that, also, I'm going to introduce Tom Lynch, our vice president, and he will make other introductions. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Bing. welcome on this beautiful day. Mayors often get criticized for things that are outside of their control in the city, and I would like to give the mayor credit for the weather that we have on this day. Right. To my colleagues on, oops, there goes my notes. Thank you.
Had to go into the creek.
Yeah.
You want me to hold them?
I'm all right now. To my colleagues on the board of the Eiseley Society who helped push this project through to completion, and many of you are here today, to the donors who helped fund this effort, because these markers aren't free, to the Nebraska Historical Society, which facilitates this historical marker program, and especially Autumn Langemeyer, to the local neighborhood associations, the Indian Village, Irvingdale, and Country Club neighborhoods, and to Mo Neal, Megan Grimes, Richard Pearsall, and Mary Monahan, and numerous other members of those associations. To the people at Lincoln Parks and Recreation who allowed this marker to be placed and who did the actual work of placing it. I had to really envision me digging the hole, you know, so I was grateful that I didn't have to do that. Especially Director Maggie Stuckey-Ross, as well as Roger Drummond, J.J. Yost, and Bill Weddle. To Lincoln City Council member Tom Duden, who used to mow the grass in this park and is joining us today. And I see Benny Shobe has also joined us here, so welcome. In the mayor's office, to Catherine Scholl, who helped coordinate today's event, as well as to Mike Comstock and Chris Tripsch. And of course to Lincoln's Mayor, Loren Gaylor Baird. When I knew I would be introducing Her Honor, the mayor, I thought it would be a suitable occasion to look at who was mayor during Loren Eiseley's youth. One name that jumped out at me was Charles Wayland Bryan. He was the younger brother of the better-known William Jennings Bryan. Charles served 2 discontinuous terms as mayor, 1915 to 17 and 1935 to 37. The terms were 2 years at the time. In between these terms, he also served 2 terms as governor of the state. At this time, I'd like to welcome to the microphone Lincoln's mayor, the Honorable Loren Gaylor Baird.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Tom. I wish I could take credit for the weather. I'm so glad the sun is shining on all of us this morning, this really exciting day. And I also want to say thank you to my colleagues on the City Council, Tom Duden and Benny Shobe, for being here today and for their leadership, and yes, for tending our parks in the past and in the present. I want to thank the Loren Eiseley Society and History Nebraska and the neighborhood associations who have helped contribute to this effort, and for everyone who's had a hand in bringing us together today. We're all taking care of parks. We are all tending to these wonderful public assets that give us so much joy. We are fortunate, of course, to have people who daily suit up to take care of these parks and give us joy, and that's our Parks and Rec team led by the indomitable Maggie Stuckey-Ross. Thank you to everyone at Parks and Rec for everything you do to take care of these wonderful spaces. Parks are more than green spaces. I mean, you can take a look and see we've got tennis courts here. We've got recreation centers nearby. But they're also places where the people who travel to them bring their own imaginations and perspectives and find a way to discover more about themselves while they are in our parks. And that's what exactly happened here at Irvingdale Park a little over a century ago, when a young boy would set off from his home near 22nd and South Streets to wander into these fields and to explore the banks of this creek. He came to play and collect specimens for his homemade aquarium, and he left in awe and admiration of the natural world. And for most of the rest of his life, Loren Eiseley used his enchantment with nature to help awaken ours. That sense of enchantment is captured in his most famous line, one now inscribed in our new marker. He wrote, quote, "If there is magic in this world, it is contained in water." Through the dedication of this new historical marker, we honor the life and legacy of Loren Eiseley, and we also celebrate the way that our parks shape us, how they are the places where so many of our stories begin. The City of Lincoln is proud to care for parks and to add to the story of Irvingdale Park. And I hope that this marker inspires people of all ages to pause, to look around, to put down their phones and to feel some of the magic in these green spaces that Loren Eiseley felt. If you'd like to learn more about Loren Eiseley, you can check out a special display about his life and work opening today at the Eiseley Branch Library. And I want to acknowledge and thank our library director, Ryan Weber, who is here with us today. Thank you for being a part of this celebration. But really, thank you all. This is a community effort and a community celebration, and it's an honor to be here with you today. Thank you.
Well spoken.
So in a minute, we'll do the unveiling. I did want to point out we have free copies of the Loren Eiseley Reader available on the bench here, and there's a map of Eiseley's Lincoln in it as well, so you can sort of do a walking tour. I'm just going to read one or two very short pieces by Loren, written when he was living in this neighborhood here. The first one is a piece he wrote in 1921. He was an 8th grader at Prescott School. The old Prescott School, not the current one. It was replaced shortly after he graduated. It's an essay titled Nature Writing. And I assume the class assignment was, what do you want to be when you grow up, all right? I have selected nature writing for my vocation because at this time in my life, it appeals to me more than any other subject. I feel it is my duty to do what I can to make people realize that the wild creature has just as much right to live as you or I. They must learn that the wild offers a more thrilling sport than killing, that of letting live. Killing for the excitement of killing is murder. As in human life, there are tragedy and humor and pathos. In the life of the wild, there are facts of tremendous interest, real lives and real happenings to be written about, and there is little necessity for drawing on the imagination. Which I always find ironic because, of course, he's famous for having drawn upon his imagination in his nature writing. And then a few years later, he wrote this piece for a class project called Whiskers. He appeared out of nowhere one cold winter morning and crouched whimpering by our door. He appeared to think it settled that it was our duty to care for him and that we would do so. My folks were by no means as sure of it, but the entreaties of a boy at just the age when pets and the big outdoors were the chief interests of his life, and the satisfied appearance of the half-grown pup convinced them. If ever a name was appropriate, his certainly was. In general appearance, he was Airedale, but another strain was evident in the shape of his head, and he soon grew larger than any of that breed. He had the roughest and largest amount of whiskers I have ever seen on a dog, and this, combined with his grizzled and long-jawed head, gave him a pugnacious, hard-boiled look that one was inclined to believe until you saw the mischievous, humorous light in the brown eyes. As he grew older, he became a restless, wandering creature. This was before leash laws. On the move from morn till night. Tricks he never had the patience to learn, with the exception of shaking hands, and even then he had his own opinion as to whom he wished to perform this rite with. He wandered in the country a great deal, for I was just conceiving a passion for zoology, and he seemed the only companion who understood. It has been especially entomology, my favorite study ever since, but I have never experienced quite the old thrill at a new discovery that I did those few short years ago when I first wondered at the crawling myriad life of pond and field and forest. Running a rabbit through a field one day, he was set upon by the dogs of a neighboring farmer. Whiskers had a reputation as a scrapper, but he couldn't handle both of them at once, and they finished him. I felt lost for a time without him, but I remembered what the big folks said about heaven and was content until I learned that church people didn't seem to think animals went to heaven. I was terribly hurt at this, and I don't believe I've ever had as good an opinion of God's judgment since. He got this was English 5, November 27th, 1923, Miss Wyman, and she wrote, I like the informal air of this, a reminiscence and a humorous vein. It is better than your other paper. We could do the unveiling now.
Let's do it.
Mayor, did you invite that bird?
Oh, I know, it's beautiful. Yes.
I thought, how appropriate.
I think it's the judgment of the bird.
Yeah. I did beautiful ones landing when you were talking.
Oh.
They just flew right in.
Oh, when I undo this, it will fall. Read it? Loren Eiseley, anthropologist, poet, and naturalist. Anthropologist, poet, and nature writer Loren Eiseley, 1907 to 77, was raised in the nearby neighborhoods of Lincoln. As a boy, he collected specimens of aquatic life from this and other local creeks and ponds to stock his homemade aquarium. His books, such as The Immense Journey and The Night Country, include personal narratives set in this area. His time exploring creeks, such as this one, inspired his most famous line, "If there is magic in this world, it is contained in water."